Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Lexx Education. It's the comedy science podcast where comedian me, Laura Lexx, usually tries to learn science from her normal, nerdy, non-comedian baby brother Ron.
Hello, I'm Ron.
He is Ron, but today we're not learning we're not learning normal science. We're doing sexy science, love science, because it's our anniversary, Ron. 3 years.
Oh. Yeah, isn't that disgusting?
That is too much of our lives that we have poured into this podcast. I hope
fucking
both
hours and hours down the drain. I've got a career, you've got a job. What are we doing?
Yeah, it's been value for money wise for us. This is probably one of the worst things we've ever done. I've loved it. And today we've got guests. We always have guests for our anniversary. And this year we've got some crackers. We have got the hosts of the Way They Were podcast. We've got Chantal and Grainne in the building. Hello.
Hi. Happy science anniversary.
Thanks.
Well done.
Is it weird to celebrate an anniversary with your brother?
I'm from the South in America, so it's actually by the by for me. But I think
we're from Somerset in the
normal.
UK, so vibes.
I feel seen. I feel comfortable. Grainne, you, Ireland, what you saying?
Straight
family trees, no branches.
I think it's very romantic. I think
so. She's like us.
it's very like White Stripes. Are they brother and sister or ex-husband and ex-wife? Lean
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
That was a reference I got.
Yeah.
Well done.
Ron and I look way too similar to have ever been a couple, though. Whenever I do those TikTok filters that are like, hey, what would you look like with a beard? It just shows me a picture of Ron, and I'm like, yeah.
You do.
But some
you are
people
very
like
similar.
that.
Yeah.
Some people like for example, Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt. They did look like each other a lot.
But-
so they
so-
could play brother and sister.
You guys must have similar clickbait spam comes up in your feeds to me. Have you read those? I think, was it Gwyneth Paltrow who did an article on why Brad always looks like the women he's dating?
Okay.
Like he adjusts to look like them. So they went through a little timetable, and it's like when he was with Gwyneth Paltrow, he had bleach blonde hair, like quite straight, like in a little bob like her. And then he went out with, was it
Juliette
Delphi?
Lewis.
Juliette Lewis, that's it. He got really like boho and grungy. And then when he was with
Jen, he had the blonde streaks.
yeah, and then with Angelina, he was just a bit more like moody, sexy. It's him, man. He tries to look like his women.
And now he's with the young girlfriend who shall remain nameless because she's a civilian, so who gives a fuck? And he dresses like shit, and so does she. So it really does seem to be working out. Yeah. His style has gone completely downhill.
Ron, what are your opinions on Brad Pitt's love life?
He's just like Meg, apparently.
Younger sister of the podcast?
Yeah, she's the Brad Pitt of the family. Our sister does this as well.
Yeah.
Oh, does she?
Yeah. She
Not so
becomes
much
her
how she
boyfriend's.
looks, though, more hobbies.
Well, watch out for her on airplanes, just saying. Put it out there. Don't give her too many whiskeys
I
in the
just
flying
flew
high
to
club.
and from New Zealand with her, and she was chill the whole time.
Oh, good. Okay, you're in the clear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd say of the 3 people I travelled with, she was the most easygoing.
Just don't
But
get into
she
a
was the only
lawsuit
adult.
with her over a
vineyard.
in
Yeah.
France, and it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Fuck, we were thinking of buying a vineyard.
Oh, watch out.
Oh, sorry, no, a bottle of wine. We were going to have a bottle of wine. That is more where our budget goes. So, anyway, listeners, hello. Happy anniversary to all of our listeners. You probably listen to the Way They Were podcast, but if you don't, what Grainne and Chantal do is they look at sexy relationships, famous couples, whether they're still together or they've broken up, what went wrong, what went right, the history, the culture, what was going on at the time, how did they reflect where we were? What? But Laura, this is a science podcast. Why have you brought them here? Well, I thought we could get a bit science of love in the building.
We'd love that. I mean, so far, the only science on our podcast is famously Grainne brought in the main science, which is, of course, astrology. So that's the main science we cover. So I'm quite intrigued to find out what Ron is bringing us for his ideas of the science.
What
of
star
love
signs
and
are you
lust.
Well, I'm iconically a Leo.
She's iconically a Leo. And I'm infamously a Taurus.
Oh, mother of the podcast is a Taurus. And maybe younger sister. Ron, what are you?
Scorpio.
I can't believe you knew that.
evil!
Tricky,
I was not
tricky.
expecting you to know that, Ron.
Ooh.
But
Wow.
Scorpion, it's rad. Of course I know that.
Yeah. Why are
everyone knows
Scorpios evil? Are they mean? Is that why he's mean to me on the podcast all the time?
Yes.
Could be.
They're
moody.
tricky.
Yeah. They're very
What are you, Laura?
They're very sexual.
Yes, they are.
Very
Yeah,
sexual.
they're kind of irresistible, but they're kind of the bad boy of the astrology crew.
That is a lot of what our Discord declares about Ron on the regular.
Very sexual.
Does everyone know what's writing in? What kind of motorcycle does Ron have?
I'm a Libra because I'm famously quite chill and balanced and cool
Perfect.
and easygoing,
Yeah, Libra's a great star sign. Libras, Aquarius, they're good ones. Aries, they're kind of nice, easy breezy, just go with the flow.
Everybody
like
describes
them.
me as easy breezy and go with the flow.
Perfect.
I mean, the
Ron's
biggest
just had a
lie you just told
spontaneous
there was
nosebleed.
balanced.
I think we asked Dara O'Brien about astrology. He was our first ever guest on the podcast, and he did disappoint us a bit by saying it was bollocks because the stars just aren't in the same place every year, the planets.
Oh, yeah, and
so
that what it's based on as well is actually completely off from where the planets are now. I just feel, I don't think Grainne and I are exactly saying this is science. And she and I, it's with a wink to the audience. But as I always say, if religion is giving respect, that's right, I'm going there. If religion is giving respect, and that's based on a fucking book, and this is based on at least some stars in the sky which exist.
Yeah.
I think astrology should be given more respect. And the only reason it isn't is what? Say it with me, everyone. Misogyny. So therefore, I am team astrology, even though we all know it's not real.
I did see a great thread tweet. What do you call tweets now? It's not Twitter. Like on Threads and Blue
A
Sky.
waste
and
of
stuff.
your time.
Post. I saw a great one earlier that was like, what if Jesus had been stabbed and then people were out there like with knives on the top of churches and wearing little knives around their necks on
Jesus was stabbed.
Yeah,
No,
that's
but the
what I
cross
thought.
was the famous death, wasn't it? Like people wear
He was
crosses.
stabbed while
the
he was
big
on the
one.
cross. Yeah, good.
Yeah, it counts.
Well, Jesus was Capricorn, famously.
And we're back to science. See?
I had a chat with someone at the weekend who was going on about the fact that they're a triple Virgo.
Yeah, that's if
What
you
does
have
that
to.
mean?
Well, that's when
There's
you have to
their
get your
star
whole
sign,
birth chart done.
Saturn returns, and then something
Yeah.
else that I can't remember.
You always know.
Also a
well,
great No Doubt album.
my family always, well, my mom always knows I'm really maybe in a tough place if I text my mom, what time was I born?
Yeah, because that means you're looking up your birth chart again to see if there's some information that's changed.
If you ever, anybody who's kids, if you have a daughter in her, any age over like 16 and she wants to know exactly what time she was born, just check in with her.
Check him.
Check in.
Yeah.
Would
Something
it be
bad's
worth
happening.
though finding out like the temperament you wanted your kid to have and then just pretending that's the time they were born?
It's a good idea. Yeah, it would take quite a lot of effort to do this.
Because what if
But,
you found out
yeah,
your
you
kid had
could.
like a real spicy star sign that meant they were volatile and temperamental, and you were like, do you know what? I can't be fucked with that.
Yeah, I'm
What's
not going
the
to give
most
that
classic star
excuse.
sign?
That's a good plan.
You're
And then
a
just
water
work
sign. you know?
reverse engineering
Yeah.
and just tell them, yeah, you're a triple Libra. You're very balanced. You're a simple person. You have no
Yeah.
excuse to ever be a dick. So
Be like
yeah.
that bit in Almost Famous when he finds out he's not the age he thought he was, but you've done
Yeah.
it because you manipulated their personality.
That's right. There's a good reason why I'm not a mother, because I think this is a great idea. Really into that.
We chose, as a family, we chose to raise you as a Taurus, and we think it worked out better for you.
Yeah.
But
Obviously,
we're here to
it's
tell
your
you
choice
you
to
are a
explore
Scorpio.
any astrological identities that
Yeah.
you think apply to you, but
We will support you. Is that going to start happening actually one day? Are people going to start saying, like, I actually am a Taurus, but I identify as a Leo? Is that going to start happening? So it's like, give your pronouns and your star sign, whatever you choose it to be.
that would
I'm
be
into
the point,
this.
I think, where I'd start buying the Daily Mail and just finally
I
agree to
know,
going on
that's-
GB News. Like, you know when people go like, the world's got too progressive for me, I'm out suddenly, and you're like, no. That would be the point where I'd go,
That would be it.
I disengage.
I know. We went, oh no, was J.K. Rowling onto this?
I would be the J.K. Rowling of star sign identity. I truly believe.
But you know, I'm mad into my Victorian novels at the moment. And what's so mad?
When
is
are
they
you
used to-
ever not maddened by Victorian novels? You were born like that. That's more important to you than being a Leo. Victorian novels.
They did this thing, which, like, obviously, when you read it now, it's like, oh, well, this was just massive, like, racism. But they used to do this thing where they thought different bits of your parts of your face gave away your identity. You know, like if you had a big forehead, that meant like you were charitable. If you had wide set eyes, it meant you were like, good at detail. And I just thought that is Victorian astrology. That's all it was.
Is that phrenology? Like they thought they knew if you were going to be a criminal by the size of your head.
Yes.
Ron, we should do a Detention episode on phrenology.
You should.
Is phrenology not just scientific racism?
Yeah.
Basically,
exactly.
yes. It's a lot of like hook noses means you're a bit tight with money. I wonder what that could be about. It's very much that vibe. Yeah.
Have you got titties? You're definitely a slag.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so Ron, we've been recording for 10 minutes. We should probably... So Ron, just for your information, Chantal and Grainne, Ron's been gallivanting for the last 3 weeks. So he and I actually haven't recorded for about 3 weeks. So that's why we've been catching up so vociferously through this chat. So it might mean he hasn't done any research because...
I got a text on Sunday that was like, "You are good for Tuesday," and I was like, "I don't know. What's happening?"
Okay,
Tuesday?
cool.
I have definitely told you about it several times, but you.
But I was on
know what
holiday.
you've done. You've listened to it and gone, "That's an after my holiday thing," and so you've just thought, "What I'll do is I'll make Laura, while she's running her full-time career, her house, her dog, her child, I'll just make her repeat all this information in 3 weeks rather than me storing this information now."
Look, here's the thing. Don't make me feel bad because I've got good life podcast boundaries. And when I'm on holiday, I don't record the podcast.
That's right. Very millennial of you, Ron. You stand by that. That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We don't do any of this bullshit of, I'm available at all times. No. Availability should not be accessibility. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's easy for
Thank
Ron to
you.
say he has a salary, so
Oh, well, then actually, fuck you, Ron.
yeah. Ron's got a pension and he's not even 30 yet, so let's just not scream that Ron's the best.
No.
Anyway.
Look, and also, I don't want to hear this whining about all these things that you've got to juggle when you have used the Lexx Education email to look for a new dog.
Yeah. There's a little rescue dog called Melvin that I think needs to come and live with us.
Did you have to use a new email because the previous ones you've been like banned from the website?
Yeah,
so you
I
can't
couldn't
message them
remember the
anymore?
password and it wouldn't send me a link, and I was just like, just show me the fucking puppies that are available. And it got so annoying that I was like, fine, I'll do. You signed up the Instagram for your band via the Lexx Education website.
Oh God, it's all coming.
Ron.
This is like,
So-
is this what Christmas is like around you guys' place?
Yeah, and we're 2 of 4 of our siblings. There's loads of us, so
Yeah.
we're the best team.
Yeah, but I'm not complaining that I've got too much on. I was just on holiday. I was on a train in Norway.
I just don't get to go on holiday. I just have to pretend my work trips. Anyway, Ron, we're arguing with our friends.
Yeah, but I'm stalling because you were dead on the money and I've done fuck all. So-
I thought you had
like
all
that
sorts
video-
of stuff about monogamous penguins and
Yeah.
lions.
We already did that when we did Animal Love Island.
Well, these guys would love Animal Love Island.
I would like that, yeah.
Love
could dig out
Island
my
is
notes for
Animal
that.
Love Island.
Very true, Grainne, yeah.
What have
So
you got, Ron?
wise. Hang on. Animal Love Island. I'm just trying to find my notes for that.
Oh, a big portion of our podcast, by the way, is Ron typing and looking for stuff while we're doing the podcast. For God forbid he preps anything.
God, you guys
Also,
must
if
have
you s-
big numbers.
They are ever decreasing.
Is this one of those podcasts where it's like 90% advertising?
Oh, there's no advertising. We lose so much money on this podcast.
The only person that ever wanted to advertise on our podcast was a one-off offer of a dildo plug that they wanted us to do. And we were like, do you know what our podcast is? This is wildly inappropriate.
God,
Yeah.
Grainne and I have been waiting for that for years and nothing.
forward
Not a
you the
vibrator,
email.
not a cock ring, nothing.
We'll
Send them
forward
our way
you.
next time.
Oh, yeah. And if you get anything that's suitable for a brother-sister GCSE podcast,
Maybe
please
like
do
a
let us know.
tandem bike or something.
Hey,
I think it would just be a subscription to BetterHelp. I think that would be that would be the go-to for you
Even
guys.
they won't want to advertise with us. It's a sorry state of affairs.
But Ron, if
Also,
our listeners get therapy, they will stop listening to us.
BetterHelp doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. If you see me turn around like this,
We could definitely squeeze a dildo ad in.
Sorry, Grainne, I missed what you said there.
I said, well, I'll repeat it because it is worth it. I said, Chantal and I, we could definitely squeeze a dildo ad in.
Hey, that's right. That's right.
Thank you.
Well done, Grainne.
Thank you.
We're smutty, guys. See?
I'm smutty sometimes, but then it just leads to an awkward silence afterwards where Ron just sort of goes, anyway, and that's the
Yeah.
end of the bit.
It's not the right vibe for it.
right? So let's learn. Kind of that happens. So do you guys want to do? I guess on that note, do you want to do lust or love first?
Lust comes before love, right?
Yeah,
Depends.
definitely. Especially with celebrities, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, so the interesting, the big difference, I guess, between lust and love is that lust is driven mainly by hormones, and then love is sort of the long-term bonding and the kind of. Oh God, I've never had to do this to a guest before. Usually, the guests teach us. And
Oh, they'll
I
be
just
teaching
kind of
you,
I will be
Ron.
teaching
You're about
you,
to
don't
find
you
out
worry,
more
Ron.
about celebrity gossip than you ever knew you could know.
Yeah, because I didn't know who lots of the couples were when I was listening to the podcast The Prep, so I listened to the Jeremy Corbyn Diane Abbott episode because I'm
Perfect.
That was lust.
Cool. Yeah. So, what hormones do we think Jeremy and Diane?
Do you get
were
brain
being-
lust and body lust? Is lust always about the body, or can it be for somebody's mind?
Well, so there are three different areas of three different bits of the brain that are engaged when you're lustful. We've got the hypothalamus that regulates the sex hormones, drives primal urges. We've got the amygdala, which is the emotional intensity and arousal bit of the brain. And then a bit that I'd never heard of before called the ventral striatum,
Ooh.
which is apparently activated during anticipation of sexual reward.
Ooh.
Oh,
that's
that must
a-
be big with Catholics.
That's a really horny part of the brain.
Yeah.
All of these are
And do
just
they
in.
test this, Ron, by like electroding your brain and then like jizzing you in a lab?
I'm presuming there's a lot of like jerking off and MRIs. Yeah.
Well, yeah, what's the big sexologist guy from the sixth? Kenzie scale? Kenzie,
Oh, yeah.
him? He must have done all this shit. He would have been well
Is
into
he the
this.
guy from the Joy of Sex program?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. He would have done a lot of this.
He was played by Michael Sheen.
Yes.
He was played by Michael
Before
Sheen.
he gave up acting to be full-time Welsh.
Yes.
Yeah. And when he was with, was he with Sarah Silverman when he was filming that? To get straight into a celeb couple.
They were a couple.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
They were a famous one because she was very much in the kind of Dakota Johnson, like, I'm BFFs with the ex-wife. Like, she was really good for, who was his ex-wife? Rachel? Was it
Kate
Rachel Weisz?
Beckinsale.
Kate Beckinsale. And it was always Sarah Silverman and Kate Beckinsale being very, very Dakota Johnson and Gwyneth Paltrow, like, we're best friends. And then they all split up and it was fine. But yeah, they were together for a while. And that strikes me, Laura, as a bit of probably like brain lust because Michael Sheen is many things, but Brad Pitt ain't one of them. So
Yeah.
I'm presuming, where Sarah's pretty hot, but I'm presuming that a lot of that was them just kind of getting off on how fun they made each other, how funny they
Yeah.
found each other. And then you think of someone like Julia Roberts and Lyle Lovett, then you could argue that he was obviously into her because she's fucking Julia Roberts, and she was into him because he must have been incredibly charming.
Who's Lyle Lovett? Oh my god.
Country
I'm
singer
Googling
from the
this too.
90s.
So it's
It was
like a
around
sort
the
of,
time when it was around the time when Julia grew her armpit hair out and it was scandalous.
I thought that was the Benjamin Bratt era. Was that Lyle Lovett?
Maybe it was Benjamin Bratt, actually.
Oh,
Maybe you're
yeah.
right. Maybe Lyle Lovett was before that.
That bit where
I
she
figured
had
they go.
armpit hair is like in my brain
Oh, it's
as a
iconic.
formative teenage moment.
We'll
of
never
life.
forget.
Yeah.
But her and Lyle Lovett was massive as well because he was so like, I don't want to be rude, but so unconventionally unattractive, like so unconventionally looking.
Yeah.
He like made it was like the original Billy Bob and Angelina. It was so kind of
Yeah,
like this is a
okay.
weird fucking mix, but they seemed like very like I imagine they had a really wild sex life. So I think you can have both at the same time, and I think you need a couple of celebrities that bring one or the other. This is where I think couples need to have a person who's hot and a person who's fun, or
Yeah.
a person who's funny and a person who's nice.
But
you
what
can't
if-
have
What's fascinating, I think, about like, so let's say Julia Roberts and Lyle Lovett is they made it sound like, I remember at the time, like she'd gotten together with the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Whereas like Lyle Lovett is like a Grammy-winning, incredibly respected country icon. So if you like, he would regularly be playing out, you know, to like thousands of people
At the Grand Ole Opry.
At the Grand Ole Opry. Like, it wasn't like he was her gardener.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a good celebrity couple is where they're charismatic and famous, but in different fields.
Like Marilyn and Arthur Miller.
Didn't really work though. But
I don't know. I think
can
Arthur
do.
Miller was a bit of a shit, and I think Mallory Port, that he was like, oh right, he's going to be comfortable in his own skin, and he's not going to be threatened by success, and he fucking was threatened by her success.
Nebbish writers are always threatened by the woman's success, no matter what. Like every single time, 100%. Garney's right. I do like your idea of them having to be in different fields. Like I said, I think they need to bring different things to the table. And in real life, that usually is really easy because you can have one really hot person and one not so hot, but really like interesting person, or preferably very wealthy and about to die person. But with celebrities, it becomes difficult because they're all good looking and assholes. So it's the same. So they both bring the same thing to table. And that's why I think you have such difficulty with the couples. There's not a lot of give and take there. There's kind of, they're both giving and taking the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's tough. And once Ron, when do the scientists reckon the lust runs out?
It does. I don't think there's any sort of specific thing about it, but so you got the brain activity is going to be very, very short term. Brain activity is only really going to go on while it's happening, and then you've got hormones that regulate things on a longer term. But with lust, it's very much driven by just testosterone and estrogen, which go through their own cycles all the time and are fluctuating on a daily basis anyway. So it's more about like short-term spikes and things that you've already got in your blood all the time, not like when you're in a lustful period, you have this in your bloodstream, and when you're not, you don't.
And also explains why you get the classic Hollywood like lifelong bachelor, because the testosterone's still pumping, so they're still out there wanting to spread their seeds, so to speak.
Yeah. One of the really interesting bits about like lust and sex that I found really interesting. I learned about this when I was at university, and then it's also
practical research.
I bet you did, Ron.
I didn't. I was such an unfuckable nerd.
Especially because you shared a bedroom with that weird guy.
Oh yeah, I did. I had a roommate first year of university.
He had dolphin bed covers, and he had 2 sets of them. So when he had to wash it, he put on another dolphin.
Yeah. Like exactly the same.
Are the only animals, aren't they, that have sex for pleasure?
So
maybe.
I've heard that. Just saying.
Bells.
I think alarm bells. I think he was onto something.
No, for a really long time, we were debating because we didn't think he was ever washing his sheets. And then at one point, one of them came with like a sort of like a bleach stain in the corner. And we're like, oh no, he stained his sheets. But then the bleach stain kept coming and going. So he just had 2 pairs of the dolphin sheets.
I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. That wasn't a bleach stain. Hate to ruin the last 20 years of your life, however old you are. But anyways, continue. As you were saying, you're at university learning about sex and love.
And then it's also, I don't know if you guys have read any of Sarah Pascoe's books.
Yep.
But she talks about this in one of them about there's you can tell a lot about an animal's sex life based off of the eggs and the sperm of a creature. So, and the size ratio between them and like the number of sperm that different things are making changes depending on the number of sexual partners that a animal has. Which is
so like Leonardo DiCaprio would have significantly different sperm to Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Although, because they're both humans, those would be the same. But you've got like
But if
fish,
they were separate evolved species, you know, based on their the way
Yeah,
they've
100.
been. I mean, I don't
And
know.
also
what Hugh's up to
DiCaprio's
now.
Italian. He's a different species. Come on. He's Italian. Ciao. You know, they're different.
If we put Hugh Jackman on an island with a bunch of women, and then Leo on a different
my
island
gosh.
with a bunch
Someone call ITV. We have a new show.
with a bunch of young women, and then left them for like millions of years, yes, they would end up having different.
Interesting. How do you feel about this one goes to Chantal and Grainne. Ron, if you've got an opinion, please feel
Please,
free.
pipe in.
But how do you feel about the theory that what Leonardo DiCaprio has really wanted all this time is Kate Winslet? And when you watch montages of them behaving together at ceremonies,
I
you
don't.
can see
I
the love
don't.
between
Oh, I
think
do
this-
have an opinion on this.
I think this is wishful thinking up there with Brad and Jen getting back together and fucking Brittany and Justin. And but even worse because these two were never even a couple. And yeah, I actually, hot take, I don't think they even like each other that much. And that's why they're so good on screen together.
Interesting.
I think she's very. I just don't. I see at best a brother-sister chemistry.
Yeah, at best.
At best.
And we're talking Ron and Laura, brother sisters. Not even that good, you know? Like,
That's the best.
always at loggerheads.
It would be like you guys, but with less sexual tension. I just don't think they never had that, because I just think of like Kate. So think of when they met when they were doing Titanic. They were like 18. Kate Winslet would have been. She's like, oh, I'm English. My best friend is Emma Thompson. What is teenage Leonardo DiCaprio going to find sexy
Yeah.
about that?
It's just
for the
I
rest
watch a
the
lot of
world?
montages of them together at awards ceremonies.
Okay,
And
Laura,
there's-
that's more of a you problem than a Leo and Kate problem.
That's fair. See, I'm in the part of my relationship where the lust is gone, so I have time to watch these montages. Okay, so tell us more about sperm and eggs, Ron.
No, my theory on Leonardo DiCaprio is I think men get stuck at the age where they get famous. And it's
We
why...
think everyone gets stuck
Yeah,
at the age they
everybody,
become famous.
everybody.
That's a.
Oh,
yeah,
does
that's
that
very
happen to
common.
everyone?
It's a common theory. Yeah. That explains why Britney is like basically a 10-year-old forever. Go on.
Yeah. And Michael Jackson was a kid forever.
Yeah, so it wasn't
That was my
technically
thoughts.
pedophilia, guys.
Yeah,
They
it's
were
only
his
for
age.
lawyers.
A-okay.
Just saying. It's all okay. Go on. So you think that's why he's the way he is, because he just fancies the girls he fancied when he became famous, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
That stands to reason. Or it could be that 25-year-old girls are just perennially hot. One of those options. Anyway. Who knows?
Yeah.
Sperm and eggs.
Sperm and eggs. Yeah, so different animals obviously mate in different ways. And you will have fish that will essentially just sort of gush out their eggs into the water, and then the men fish will come along and just kind of spaff over them in kind of sort of a crop dusting kind
You
of
get
sexual
like
encounter.
clouds of jizz, don't you, in the sea? It's like visible from aeroplanes.
It's awful, and then other fish come in and eat it, and it's a real grisly mess. But then, obviously, mammals,
That must be
what we
so
are,
weird. Imagine you're just finishing up at an orgy and then some weirdos come in and just lick it all clean.
Well, yeah, but their eggs are like caviar, so it's actually a delicacy. So it's
But
actually
maybe
really
ours
nice.
are to some people.
One can dream. I
Jizzy
keep
are.
trying them. So far, I haven't found that yet, but any day now.
I mean, but it's. I don't know if it's worse, but it is. It's not quite that, because I don't think the same species are eating up the caviar. So it's more like you had an orgy and then a bunch of rats come in
Yeah.
and sort of clean up after you.
Yeah, that's right.
If you'd just finished in an orgy and something was coming in to eat your stuff afterwards, would you rather it was people, rats, or puppy dogs with adorable faces?
Dogs, obviously. But it would just make me
Yeah,
feel
dogs,
weird every time I had
obviously.
sex.
I'm getting
I'd
real,
be
like,
basically having sex for the dogs, which is odd.
I wouldn't
this
want
is
to
giving
ruin
me-
dogs for myself.
it's very
Yeah.
like very dark Cinderella remake. Where,
Yeah.
like where the little
Grainne! Cinderella! How many people do you have over this time? Oh, God, what does it mean that he's fat? That means he's a whore. Wow.
or little, the animals helping Snow White after the seven dwarfs have done their worst.
Oh no.
Weirdly, I'd feel most okay about it if it was fish.
Yeah, can we get back to the fish? 7 dwarves done their worst. Just fucking filth. It's really gone for it.
They were all called horny that day.
Please remind the listeners at home that Grainne is not normally like this, and she's at her in-laws' house this night. And this is really bringing out the smut out of little Miss Maguire. Oh, dear. So what do you reckon that says about humans, though, Ron? If you're saying that the amount of eggs, the amount of sperms they have, what are you saying that says about men and women? The fact that who is born with more? 'Cause aren't women born with like a gazillion eggs and men are born with a gazillion sperms? So what's the difference? Talk to me.
Well, it's more about the number of eggs and sperm used in either like an instance of mating or like a mating season.
So you're saying the fact that men's plow through like a 15 billion sperm mean that they're wanting to have 15 billion women, to put it in very big terms, basically.
Yeah. So mammals in general, we have a huge difference between sperm and egg size, which indicates high male competition during mating, which means that actually, going back to Leonardo DiCaprio, men potentially not actually made for monogamy.
Yeah, and also that's why men are funny and women aren't, because they're trying to compete. And we're just meant to be pretty.
But then there's other anatomical things that you can look at that sort of point to this as well. Like, does anybody know what the function of the bell end is?
I do.
What?
Oh,
Go on.
I didn't want to say it in case any of you knew. It's a scoop. It's for scooping out any jizz that was already in there. It like slurps out what was already in there and then puts its own. It replaces faux sperm. FOE, not FAUX.
So it's essentially a sort of vacuum cum squeegee that's supposed to just draw out any sperm that's already in there. When you're having sex, so that so Dopey's just finished and he's sort of toweling himself off over there, and then when Doc arrives, he needs to get everything out. There's
you know Doc's a fucking animal. You know what I'm saying? Doc is.
Yeah.
There's a reason people call it playing doctor. You know what I mean? Doc knows what he's doing down there. You know.
His hat is stiff. I like. It's a bit gross to think about. Like as a heterosexual woman, I don't really want to be attracted to like a cum squeegee full of blood. But at least male humans have got that, and not like a fox dick.
What's a fox
Well,
stick like?
Foxes have those barbs, don't they, to keep it in? That's why
to keep it in.
That's
why they always make all that fucking noise when they're when they're shagging. But I
Does
mean,
it
don't
just-
worry. I think I'm sure it's like just like us. It hurts so good, you know.
Does that mean, Ron? What does that say about foxes that they have to like spike themselves to the women? Does that mean that there's even more competition for women in foxes?
I would say so. I don't know loads about foxes, but I know that's why ducks do it.
Do ducks have little spiky dicks too?
So this
because
is
you're in
Birds
the
have
water.
really small dicks.
No, knuckle in. This is real awful, right? So ducks mate by basically competitive gang rape of the female ducks. And there's an evolutionary war going on between the women that the female ducks that don't want this to happen for obvious reasons, and the male ducks that do for obvious reasons. So a male duck's penis is a spiral shape. This
Like
I
a
think
corkscrew.
a spiked corkscrew.
Okay.
The female duck's vagina spirals in the opposite direction to make it harder to get it in.
Why? Why would evolution make that so difficult?
I think because then there's more intermale competition between the ducks.
Okay, so
while
it improves how. Okay.
Yeah, and then you have to be even stronger to force your corkscrew into the opposite way around.
I gotta say, considering how much they're going through, ducks don't really do a lot. Like, I thought evolution would have got them doing a lot more than just hanging around in the water and just having, by the sounds of it, really shit sex. And that's it. They can't even fly that far. This is
Like
evolution's kind of
Famously though, you never really know what a duck's got going on beneath the surface. So they're cool and calm on there.
Okay, I don't want to victim blame. But girl ducks. Come on. I just think like you're going to have to continue the species somehow. So if your mate has got a corkscrew penis, he's got enough problems. So just
let
you
him
don't
have a
have to do
go.
the helter-skelter back ways as well. Give him a break.
Exactly. Reminds me a lot of the Me Too movement, you know? So do you want the job or not, you know? So bringing it back to Hollywood.
I've always thought if I came back, if I was in an apocalyptic situation, I don't really want to survive it. Like I'd kill myself pretty early and just be meat or something. I've now decided if I get reincarnated as a duck, same rules apply.
Same rules.
I don't want to be alive in those circumstances.
Maybe that's what, you know, when you see ducks in the water and they put their head under the water and their feet are going crazy and then they pop back up again. Maybe that's all of them just endlessly trying to drown themselves and then just all humans come back and be like, fuck! And they're just like stuck there, unable to know, like, I can fly so I can't fall, I can't drown. There's no way to do it. And then we got rid of hunties who thought it was inhumane. We fucked it for them, guys.
Did Daffy Duck have a female duck?
Daisy.
That's Donald's.
Oh, was that
missus.
Donald's?
Yeah.
Oh, this gets into the whole Pluto and Goofy thing of why there's too many ducks and too many dogs. Let's not get into it. It's because Walt Disney was a Nazi. Let's just move on. Come on. just carry on.
I think all of the Looney Tunes ones were just sort of happy bachelors. More Leo than a Jackman.
Yeah, because they wore a lot of suit and ties, and they always seemed to be like, you know, kind of smoking as well. So they were kind of like Sinatra vibes back then.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a sentient duck and I had the choice between fighting loads of men and then having really sad sex, I'd go and like try and get a Hollywood career too.
Yeah.
Well, see, it's funny you mention how the people have how like men basically have to have monogamy. And so men aren't made for monogamy, and that's why there's so much competition around, and hence ducks and human men. And that's why there's so many, a phrase we often say. And yet, I was thinking this earlier on of trying to work out like what's some science of like Hollywood couples and why there are some DiCaprios and Nicholsons and Warren Beatty's, etc., who were these, you know, bachelors who can't settle down.
Oh, he's a bachelor, yeah. I thought
yeah, and then why there's also guys like your Paul Newmans and your Tom Hankses who seem to be totally cool with monogamy, settle down, no scandals, everything's cool. And I think it comes down to how they feel about the women they're with, because I've noticed that when the men worship the woman they're with, when you hear them go on and on about how amazing the woman is, when the woman seems to have the power in the relationship, those seem to last. Whereas when it seems the other way around, when the man seems to be the one in control. And you can see that, like, even with like Kim Kardashian and Kanye, there's always an idea that he was kind of holding the reins, you know? Mm-hmm. With Katy Perry and Russell Brand, it was very much seems like he was kind of in power. And he was doing, she would just kind of follow him. Whereas you think of like whenever Paul Newman would talk about Joanne Woodward, it was always kind of like, oh, she's so incredible. And there's always the idea that she could leave whatever she wants. And he would always do whatever she said. So... Are there any species?
Because with Orlando,
are there any species where like the women are being the female are being worshipped, and then that means everything's better?
Well, I can tell you about the most extreme version of that, which would probably be the anglerfish. You know, the ones with the light on their head. So the typical anglerfish that you think of, the big ones, those are the females of the species. And the males are much, much smaller. And because they live down at the bottom of the ocean, and it's really dark there, and it's really, really hard to find someone to have sex with when you want to, the way that they get around that is when a male finds a female, what he will do is bite onto her side, and then eventually they fuse at the lips, and he stops like hunting, and he'll just start getting food through her blood, and eventually it will just shrivel up until he is just a pair of testicles hanging off of her cheek, and then he can impregnate the eggs, and this will happen with multiple different males and one female, and then you get the mix and stuff, and he just disappears into a...
So we get Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, and they get some balls on their cheek. That's not quite what I had in mind.
So that's like, you know how we turn celebrities, like their two names become one? It's kind of like an extreme version of that.
That's so true. The original Bennifer is the anglerfish with a pair of nuts on their cheek.
Maybe that's why Hugh Jackman suddenly decided to get out of such a long-term relationship. Maybe he was starting to fuse to her.
And you know that people complain about that when couples begin referring to themselves like as we don't like that film, we're pregnant. Everyone, it's like a universal, like really hack comedy thing as well. So how much we hate that. Maybe it comes from nature is telling us in the back of our brain.
Yeah.
Maybe in our hypothalamus. That's a bad thing that we should all try to avoid so that we don't end up with, nuts on our cheek.
Should we try and start that as slang moving forward? Like, they're angler fishing.
We should. Grainne and I can try to remember that for the next episode. Whenever a couple's whenever we see a couple that's getting a little bit too close, whenever maybe a Brooklyn and a Nicola Peltz.
Yes.
Because they've isolating themselves and now they're angler
Ron's
fishing.
just doing a quick Google there. Look to see who Brooklyn and Nicola Peltz are. There he goes.
Pretty big couple, yeah.
Brooklyn Beckham, yeah.
Brooklyn Beckham, Nicola Peltz.
Beckham, yeah.
Talking about them on the pod very soon. If my instincts are correct. What about the praying mantis? Doesn't she eat her partner?
Well, that's not worshipping. That's just like the men. That's just like a sort of matriarchy, isn't it? Where the woman just kills the men.
I think the closest thing that you'd get to that in nature would be a lot of birds are monogamous and will be very, very devoted to each other. So you'll have
penguins
albatrosses.
are like that, aren't they?
Yeah, penguins. So emperor penguins are really famous for they'll mate. The female will lay the egg, and then the male will stand with it over the winter.
Yeah.
While the female goes swimming and goes feeding.
I prefer the idea of her going swimming. He does the housework,
just
and she goes for a rest. Yeah.
And then you've got like albatrosses that will basically not touch land for like 2 or 3 years at a time, but they'll return to the same places to mate and lay eggs and stuff. And there's amazing footage of like male and female albatross pairs that meet each other, and they do these incredibly elaborate courtship dances to like reaffirm their love for each other. And then it's all about them knowing the different moves and stuff. And then that's how they keep their bond going.
That sounds an awful lot like renewing one's vows, which, as Grainne knows very well, is usually a complete sign of failure to come. That means you're doomed. The minute you start, it's very Housewives, and it means one of you is cheated, and you're going to break up in about 3 years.
Heidi Klum and Seal did it
Heidi
every
Klum,
year.
classic. We knew it was coming.
2 separate Real Housewives of Orange County did a big marriage renewal story, and then were split by the next season.
Every time a housewife does it, they're on the. You might as well just call the lawyer up on the way to the altar.
The only exception is Lisa Vanderpump.
I was just gonna say Lisa Vanderpump. I think it's because Ken is so old; he doesn't really know what's going on. So it's more just he's just at a party, so he doesn't know what's happening.
Lisa Vanderpump, though, I think I learned something about bees the other day. Or I had a dream about bees, if this isn't true. But
I think both things count.
But queen bees, Lisa Vanderpump's a queen bee, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So the queen bee, she like flies up into the air early doors in her career, and the male bees all come and like have sex with her. And when she's done having sex with them, she just like rips their sting out and they die, and then she just spends the rest of her life pumping out babies from the jizz that she collects in that one initial fuck fest. And I feel like Ken is just a drone that somehow stayed alive.
That is a very good analogy. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that he might have a pair of testicles growing from his face. So I think there's a lot of things going on with Ken.
Yeah. I, out of loyalty to Kyle, have never watched any of the Vanderpump spin-off shows.
You are missing out, and you're making a big mistake being loyal to Kyle. Jesus, what? I was like someone from 1980s coming and telling me, "Oh, Donald Trump seems like a great businessman."
I'm not up to date with you guys.
You need to catch up.
Kyle and Maurizio on the podcast.
Yes.
We have.
Oh,
yeah.
I have to download that episode. Okay.
Yeah.
I have, because I was thinking about the science of love, and I was thinking about something, Chantal, you have said in the past. Either you've said it or I dreamt it.
Let's just say it was me.
Didn't you say that it's important for a couple to be the same sort of hot?
Oh.
I didn't say that, but that wasn't me. But I think someone on our podcast may have said that. That sounds familiar to me. Maybe I've heard that recently as well. Because it is a thing. Expand, Grainne.
It's universally known that a couple should be the same kind of hot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe it's that, where you're talking about birds mating for life, that a male swan is as good looking as a female swan.
Yeah.
So maybe there's not as much temptation to stray because, without meaning to be racist to swans, they more or less all look the same.
Yeah, they do. They do kind of all look the same. Yeah.
Is this why potentially Brad Pitt is chameleoning to his wives
Exactly.
to try and make it last longer, so they look the same? They're the same kind of hot.
Yeah.
And also why dogs are always checking around because they got so many fucking options,
Really?
You're a big basset hound and you're like, I feel mind a little chihuahua, let's see what happens. And then before you know it, you got a whole new fucking breed. And they're slutting around as well. And that's also why whenever men are fucking around, what are they called? Dirty dogs. It's because they got all the options. Yeah?
Yeah.
Who's
saying.
an example of like different types of hot?
Like Angelina Jolie and Billy
And
Bob
Billy Bob.
Thornton, two very
two different
Different types of hot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
types.
Whereas, in fact, you can keep using Angelina because Angelina and Brad actually was a very similar type of hot, and they lasted for 10 years.
Yeah.
That was pretty successful for a celebrity marriage. I think that's good going.
Yeah.
But also I think and that's where I think Grainne's idea of having two different areas of fame, like acting and music, comes in as well, because you can have the same kind of hot but in different. Like I think Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake are very similar kinds of hot. They're very kind of pretty.
Hot.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very kind of empty and shallow and very surface level, but very pretty. And no one's like ever obsessed with them looks wise, but everyone can acknowledge they're very good looking.
But they're the
And
sort of
kind
people that
the
you're like, if
same.
you weren't rich, you wouldn't be that hot. It's taking work to make this.
Yeah, they're not
You're an average person with a lot of money.
they're not blessed. Whereas Brad and Angelina are kind of like, even if they were working in factories, those are just two. They would never be not famous because they're so fucking hot.
Yeah.
So
Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, different types of hot.
No, I think
no,
similar.
Very
No.
similar. They look,
Averagey.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
Sorry, gang.
but they've gone.
Ron was so excited. Guys, I've got one. He was so excited. Divas, hang on, I've got one.
What does that mean then for like a Tom Holland and a Zendaya? Because I'd put her in the Angelina category of
You're not
couldn't
the only
be
one.
not
I think-
famous.
He looks like a pickled boy.
But he's charming.
He does.
He's charming hot. So does that work because she's hot and he's charming?
I think it only works because she hasn't been swept off her feet by someone else yet. Mark my words, I don't see it last.
Chantal, if we go back to what you said earlier, a long-term relationship works if the man is like, this woman is out of my league. And I think
There is
Tom's vibe is very much like, I don't get it either. But
You raise a good point. He does seem to worship
He's
her.
Hanksing her.
If he keeps Hanksing her, if he keeps Newmaning and Hanksing her, then he's got it in the bag. But if he lets it slip for a month, it gets a bit cocky, then he's fucked.
Yeah.
Because you're right. Then very different. Whereas Barry Keoghan and Sabrina, I think everyone thought they were the same kind of hot, but they were just short, and that doesn't count. I think that doesn't work. And I actually do think that height is very important when it comes to couple. I think you need to have. I think you need to have a good difference. I just think you need to have a difference.
I thought you were going to say you have to be reasonable then, and my husband is 6'3" and I am 5 foot zip. So
No, I like an exclamation point couple like that. I like when they do, but I think you have to be two
from a
different
distance,
extremes.
it could be father and child, that kind of.
You can't be, but you
Danny
can't be
DeVito
too,
and Rita Perlman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Different types of hot.
Yeah, different types of hot. Different types. That's right.
But it's funny. So I briefly, Chris Evans, the American Chris Evans,
Yes.
and Jenny Slate
Jenny
were a couple.
Slate.
And
That's
people
right.
just like refused to. Everybody was so angry, and like Jenny
But they
Slate was,
were
like,
different types of hot. Big
different
time
types of hot because she was
Very
like
much.
sexy indie.
She was Zooey Deschanel, but funny vibe, kind of quirky, kooky.
Money, please. That's
The
her,
thing,
isn't it?
the she was the kind of girl, Grainne, that like an asshole male comedian would try to get in your pants by saying, I actually find Jenny Slate really hot. She's my number one. When you know he's jerking off to fucking Charlize Theron with everyone else, whatever. She was that. And he was very kind of Hollywood clean cut vibes.
But he does speak his mind on things, doesn't he? He's not like I don't know, like gormless. Like he's not Chris Pratt, is he? He's
No,
he's
no.
got
He
a little
does.
bit more behind the eyes.
But I don't know about you, Grainne. Do you always put that down to his time with Jenny Slate? I just think he just learns everything from her.
I would agree. Right, we have to wrap up shortly because my child has come home and I can't keep talking about fucking someone in the cheek and turning into their face balls while
And then also telling your child that your brother is right here with you in the conversation.
It's not rude because I'm doing it with Uncle Ron for a semi-paid audience. So what else, what further relationship science do we absolutely have to cover?
What do you have to
Question for
cover?
me.
For all of you, do you have any hot science rules that you think are fundamentals to a relationship that will or won't work? Ron, do you have any golden facts that you want to squeeze in?
I just want to finish the point that I think was the last tangent, which is I believe I said that maybe this is evidence that men aren't made for monogamy, but men and women are part of the same species, so it is also evidence that women aren't made for monogamy either. And like the reason why it
Is
will
the
often
evidence
be
how
said,
fucking irritating men are?
Yeah.
no, it's more just because it will say like it's these things will be a ratio of males having more sexual partners, but that's just because if female is successfully has sex with someone, they'll be pregnant and they don't have sexual partners, which is why it ends up that way. But sexual competition can be encouraged by both sides. Women will tend to be louder in bed, which is taken as evidence that to encourage more people to come over and have sex with her. because
That's
she's having
interesting.
Calling
sex.
all the
Yeah.
cleanup rats.
Yeah. Do you have any final rules, Grainne, for love that we've learned over a year of studying relationships?
God, that's such a good question. Oh, can you still hear me?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah, we're all still
here,
there.
Jen. We're all still here.
I think when you have to issue a statement that you're really happy together, the relationship is over.
I love
Yes. Very true.
it. Yeah.
And I would say my biggest rule that I think Grainne, and it was two big rules I think that we have learned over our years covering these relationships that I think you could say are scientific. Number one, if your beloved wins an Oscar and spends a lot of time talking about you, they are cheating. And number two, if you are married to a Hollywood actor and you get a nanny, they will cheat. So those are the two. And if the person is Ben Affleck, they do both. So there you go.
Yeah. Oh, guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you.
Yeah, that was super
You're
fun.
wel- Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
This has been my dream.
I think this podcast has turned me completely vegan because just like, the way you've been discussing animals, I'm out. I'm onto the tofu and tempeh now, guys. I am done.
Not tempeh. Ron says tempeh's terrible.
Oh,
it's
no,
the-
is it?
It's the only thing I've spat out of my mouth like a child in the last 15 years.
I heard
couldn't
you
chew
say
it.
that on the latest episode. You said it was awful. You take it all out of your dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seitan,
you said it was dreadful.
tofu, go for it. Steer away from tempeh.
Steer away from tempeh. Okay,
heard
will
it
do.
here
Will do.
first.
Thank you.
That's another
Okay.
rule.
Steer away from anglerfish and tempeh. Thank you. The Way They Were podcast, it's available everywhere you'd normally get podcasts, right?
Everywhere. We're right there waiting for you. We're recording new episodes now. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/thewaytheywere. Come get involved. Lots of fun stuff going on. But yeah, we're out. We're here.
Do it. I'm literally going to download some episodes now and go and walk the dog and catch up.
Do
on,
it.
Catch up on the gossip that I haven't been up to date with because I've been being nerdy and listening to history. Boo.
Oh, Yawnville.
We do
Gossip.
history. We do history, but it's the interesting history.
Yeah.
As in who can't keep it in their pants history.
Yeah, exactly.
The best
We
kind.
have something for everyone. Don't worry.
The thing is, though, people can roll their eyes at that and be like, sorry, what the fuck did we learn about the Tudors for if it wasn't all about can couples keep it in their pants?
Yes.
Thank you.
Just because it was hundreds of years ago doesn't make it more fancy than
is just
now.
Gossip. History is just gossip about dead people. That's all it is.
Exactly.
Well, thank
But
you
it's
so
mem-
much for celebrating with us. We've had a
You're
wonderful
welcome.
third
Thank
anniversary.
you.
And obviously, we will be back next week with back on the syllabus. Next week is chemistry. We haven't done the quiz yet, though, Ron. We've got to do that this week. Thanks for listening, guys. Jizz dismissed.
Oh my God. Let's risk it.
Yeah, fuck it. We've
Where are you,
re-recorded
Grainne?
episodes before, haven't we, Ron? The famous moles episode.
parents' house.
Oh, you're at Mel's parents' house, of course. We've lost an entire episode, Laura, where the guests didn't. The guest did a backup. We recorded and neither worked, and the whole episode just had just in the bin. All of Grainne, and it was Grainne researching a topic she definitely had never had any knowledge of before. And so it was a real just waste of Grainne's time.
See, that's extra gutting for you because it's guests, and it's like recreating. Like because it's just the two of us. We've redone episodes that we've lost before.
We've done several, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you? Have you not found it weird to be like, and then what?
Yeah,
Ron?
but because it's learning, we can make that a thing. So the first time it happened, we were doing moles, which is where you like divide the weight
It's just
of
a number.
It's a number that's helpful for doing atom stuff. And
Why are you so dismissive of her, Ron? Everything she says, it's fine. Everything's fine. Laura, it's just a number. Everyone calm down. Like Ron just said, Ron, you have 3
years.
Lauras here now as well. It's going to be a rough hour.
We have done moles. We've done at least 6 hours of moles now.
Yeah.
It's
But like
Like the
we recorded
animals.
this lesson. It hadn't gone well because I didn't really understand what we were doing. Then I lost the recording and it was definitely me. I deleted the recording accidentally. Then we had to re-record. I think it was New Year's Day or the 2nd of January or something. We had to re-record it because it had to go out that week. And it took us 2 hours to re-record it. And we were like screaming at each other by the end of it. But
was the episode good? It was like, in the end, did no one listen?
It's a classic.
It's a classic episode.
Oh, it is?
It's
Okay.
a really good early episode where, but I think we can get away with it in our format because our format is that we kind of don't want to be there. So you can do the fucking already told you this.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have to be bright and breezy and like, hey.
Oh God, that's like the opposite. Me and Grainne are so kind of like over enthusiastic. Hey guys, everything's wonderful. Love. So this is going to be a weird, really odd mix for you guys for your anniversary episode.
Well, I'm like you guys. I'm on the bus. But yeah, that's how ours works. Is because people go, oh, I don't really like science, and you go, you'd love the podcast then. There's not really any science in it.